Namaskar everyone and welcome to the 8th day of our Navaratri satsang. So let us start with the prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Sri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Navaratri satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the things which will help us to grow spiritually. मानातीतप्रतितविभवां मङ्गलं मङ्गलानां वक्षः पीठीं मधुविजयिनो भूषयन्तीं स्वकान्त्या प्रत्यक्षानुश्रविकमहिमप्रार्थिनीनां प्रजानां श्रेयो मूर्तिं श्रयमशरणः त्वां शरण्यां प्रपद्ये यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्म व्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये. Offering prayers to the Acharya's lotus feet, let us continue with the topic of Navavidha Bhakti. So we have reached to almost the end. We are on day 8, and today we have to talk about the next form of bhakti, next mode of offering worship, which is through Sakhyam, that is considering the Lord as a Sakha. Sakha means friend. So considering the Lord as a friend, we have to offer bhakti to him. So let us see what we can understand about this form. Of course, it is not very easy. Just actually, if you go to look at it, the initial activities are actually easier. But as you grow further and further, it is not so easy. Like, for example, what we talked about becoming a dasa is quite difficult because our ego is so strong. And moving further beyond that, to consider the Lord as a friend. Now, me considering the Lord as a friend is one part, but for him to consider me as an equal, as a friend, that is something which is going to take a lot of, grace on me. So, how can we try and understand this relationship of the bhakta seeing the Lord as a friend? Let us talk about that. So, this most well-known example of Sakhya Bhakti is Sudama. And also people talk about Arjuna and Krishna being friends. Now we all know the story of Sudama, isn't it? How they had studied, Krishna and Sudama had studied together in the Gurukul of Sandipani Rishi, and they were classmates in that Gurukul. And later they go about their own life. Sudama is in poverty, and his wife forces him one day to go and ask Krishna for some kind of help. Sudama doesn't want to go there, but he goes anyway because he thinks that it will be a opportunity to see my friend Krishna. With that bhava, he goes. And when he goes there, Krishna receives him. The goddess of fortune, Rukmini herself, is pouring water, as we can see in the picture shown here. Krishna is watching the feet of Sudama, and he's being offered all the royal treatment. And then they ask him, "What have you brought for us?" And he's reluctant to show what he has. But then they pull his small little package which he has kept tight around his dhoti, and that contains a few pieces of flattened rice, what we call as poha or avlaki. So that flattened rice, with great joy, Krishna puts little into his mouth and he says, "Oh, how did your wife know that this is my most favorite dish?" And ever since then, it is often a practice among many people to place this avlaki, this flattened rice, as a prasada for the Lord, along with little jaggery and to make it sweet. So now, when everything they talk and they have all this discussion and all that, not once does Sudama um, express what his wife had told him. He's so happy and lost in the company of the Lord. They talk, they recollect all their past experiences, they talk so much, and then finally, when it is time to leave, Sudama says, "Okay, I will leave now." And Krishna says, "Okay, fine, please come some other time." and they part ways. And when Sudama comes back to where his house was, he's shocked because no longer his hut is to be seen there. His wife and children, who were looking so tired and ill, and they didn't have proper clothes and all, everything about them has changed, and he's not able to recognize. And then they say that you went from here, but suddenly one fine day, um, everything changed. We became rich. We got a big house. We have all such great clothes to wear. We are comfortable in every way. And Sudama realizes that this is the doing of Krishna. He thinks that if I had asked Krishna for something, that would be like putting a value on my friendship with Krishna. If I had asked, it would have been demeaning of me. But see how great is Krishna. Without me asking for anything, he understood what was the need and he provided that. And despite all this riches being given to him, it is told that Sudama never lived the luxurious life. He continued to stay in his previous way only, and he would spend all his time constantly meditating on the Lord. So that is the Sakya Bhakti of Sudama. Now, the other example that is told is that of Arjuna. Arjuna and Krishna were so close. Now, Krishna considered Arjuna as his friend and not just as his aunt's son. So, that relationship between them was so special that Krishna was very determined he should get his sister Subhadra married to Arjuna only. Then, at the time of the war, also, Krishna's uh, immense guidance and Krishna's very presence is what helps the Pandavas to succeed. So, that relationship between Krishna and Arjuna is unique, and that also is an example of Sakya Bhakti. In fact, at the time during the Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna is, you know, talking and explaining things to Arjuna, then when the Bhagavad Gita he is telling, at one point of time he shows Arjuna his Vishwarupa. He shows his entire actual potencies. And seeing that Vishwarupa, Arjuna is quite shocked and he thinks, oh my God, he says to Krishna that what is this? You are the master of the entire universe, and how I have treated you. I have said, I've called you, hey, Yadava, hey, Krishna, and I have put my arm around you and I have treated you so casually without realizing what is your actual form. And I'm really sorry about that. But then Krishna says, I have treated you as a friend, Arjuna. And that is the friendship of Krishna and Arjuna. Now, we are talking about both these examples of Sudama as well as Arjuna as Sakya Bhakti. They are an example for Sakya Bhakti. But then, if we look carefully at their life patterns, there is one very significant difference between the Sakya Bhakti of Sudama and that of Arjuna. Sudama never wanted to ask Krishna for anything. And even after Krishna gave him riches, he continued to follow his pattern of life of engaging in bhakti. Right? In case of Arjuna, Arjuna was in grief and he was confused and he didn't know what to do. So Krishna gave him the Upadesha of the Bhagavad Gita. And at the end, Krishna has actually told Arjuna, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Aham tva sarva papebhyo moksha ishyami ma shuchaha. Don't feel depressed, don't feel bad, don't feel fear. I am there, and all you need to do is surrender to me, and I will take care of yours, all your things. I will make sure that all your papas are destroyed. Arjuna listens to Krishna. He fights the war as per Krishna's instructions. Now, if actually he had taken Krishna's message to heart, what he should have done after the Yuddha is over? He should have done Tyaga of everything and he should have gone with Arjuna, Krishna, isn't it? But Arjuna did not do that. So that was the difference we can say between the Sakya Bhakti of Sudama and that of Arjuna. That Sudama actually practiced whatever is Bhakti. And Arjuna listened to the Lord, and the Lord considered him as a loving friend, and Arjuna also had that same kind of a friendly attitude, but he did not actually, listen to the instructions of the Lord, we can say. So, moving on, why we must practice Sakhyam? Why should we look at the Lord as a friend? Now, this level of connection, when you think of the Lord as your friend, that is a much more intimate connection than the uh, type of bhakti which is involved in dasyam. So, when somebody is your friend, then you are like an equal with that person. Whereas when you say you are a dasa, you are inferior to that person. So, although it is a more intimate kind of connection, but then this kind of a connection is possible only if we are, highly spiritually evolved. Otherwise, it will very soon degrade and make us feel egoistic instead of making us have less ego. Now, this friendship or this kind of affection for the Lord, like a friend, why should we feel that way to the Lord? Because as the Lord has told in the Bhagavad Gita, in the fourth chapter, the 11th verse says, Ye yathamam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashah. So whatever people surrender to me, ye yathamam prapadyante, as people turn to me, I reciprocate in the same way. That is the key here. So if we turn to the Lord with feelings of affection, with the thought that He is my friend, with the thought that He is always there for me, then what does the Lord do? He reciprocates accordingly. If I say God is giving me trouble and what is the use of praying to God, and I say such things, then what will be the kind of response that I attract from the Lord? Definitely not a positive one. But if I think that the Lord is here for my protection, He is like my friend, He is always there to help me. And with that spirit, when I do bhakti, then the Lord reciprocates. He reflects back the same kind of spirit. So that is the reason why we must practice Sakhya Bhakti. The more important aspect also is that in this life we have many people whom we know. Some people may be just acquaintances. Some people will be a little closer to us, and then there may be some people who are very close to us. We think they are our friends, and we trust them with all our secrets, and we turn to them when we have trouble, and we kind of expect that they will always be there for us. Unfortunately, many times we may have had the experience that how much ever affection we lavish on the other person, there may not be reciprocation to that extent from them. I may be very loving towards somebody, but they may not be exactly that loving towards me. Or I help other people when they are in trouble, but they may not be available for me when I need some help. Or I think that this person is going to be there all the time for me. But situations can change. Sometimes over small trivial issues we have a fight and then our relationship may break even. Or we always know that now nobody is permanent in this world. So maybe death snatches away our close friend. So in worldly life, whatever friendships we have, whoever we consider as our dear friends, that relationship, you can never say it is permanent. There is no guarantee for that. It is not predictable what is going to happen next. But with Krishna, when you have friendship, that is an eternal friendship that is always going to be there. Whatever I may think about Krishna's role in my life, the fact remains that he is waiting eagerly with total patience that sometime in some janma this person is going to turn towards me. He is going to take some action to come towards me. So we uh, do whatever we you know think is bhakti. And sometimes when trouble comes our way, then what we do, we say that, okay, why God is giving me all this trouble? Why I am having all this difficulty? Why do bad things happen to good people? Despite all this prayer of mine, nothing has worked out well for me. So, in fact, we blame the Lord sometimes without realizing that it is our own prarabdha karma which is attracting events into our life. So, he is waiting all the time for us to turn to him. So that is the nature of friendship with Krishna. So we must try and cultivate such kind of a friendship. In the Ramayana also, it is told, like we know the episode where Vibhishana leaves his brother Ravana because Ravana is not ready to listen to the advice that Vibhishana is giving about returning Sita to Lord Rama. So Vibhishana, it is a dharma sankata for him at that time, isn't it? He is caught in a difficult situation between two dharmas. One is what is his dharma of being loyal to the brother, and the other dharma is that of being loyal to the Lord. So he decides that he's going to be loyal to the Lord, and because of that, he leaves Lanka and he goes, approaches Lord Rama on the other side of the ocean. So when he reaches there, and there is a discussion between Rama and Sugriva and Jambavan, Hanuman, all these people. Rama asks everybody for their opinion, that what do you think we should do? So at that time, everybody gives their opinion. Um, Many people say Sugriva and everybody else, they are worried that he has come as a spy or he is going to do damage to them. Then Hanuman says, no, when I went to Lanka, he was the only Dharmatma there. He's a good person, so we must do. So in fact, Rama says that if, because you people, the way you people are telling, now he is bad, so I should not accept him, or he is good and therefore I should accept him. So if I go by either of these norms, then actually it is against my dharma. And it is very significant that he says, Lord Rama says, Mitra bhavena sampraptam natyajayam kathanchana dosho yadyapi tasya syat shatam etat aharitam. No matter whatever dosha, whatever flaws the person has, okay, if he comes to me seeking my friendship, mitra bhavena, appearing to be a friend. So here the acharyas say that it need not be that a person who approaches the Lord may be just faking it. He may not even be sincerely considering the Lord as a friend. Maybe he wants something out of the Lord. Maybe he has some bargain to strike with God and he's pretending to be a friend. He's not actually a friend, but he's pretending to seek friendship with the Lord. So even in that case, the Lord says, even if somebody comes under the false pretense of being a friend, I will not abandon such a person. So, this is a very great promise for all of us. And this is what should give all of us a lot of hope. Many times, it is our common observation that it is when we have difficulties in our life that we turn to the Lord. Does the Lord anytime say that, oh, what were you doing all these days when everything was going fine? You didn't bother about me. Now, when you are having trouble, you have come to me. Does the Lord ever say that? No, he doesn't. Because his attitude is like this. Even if somebody comes to me, no matter for what reason, no matter at what time, just once, what we know as the Charama Shloka in the Ramayana, where the Lord says, Sakrut Deva Prapannaya Tavasmiti Cha Yachate Abhayam Sarvabhutebhyo Dadamyetat Vratam Mama. The Lord says it is my vrata. What is the Lord's vrata? That Sakrut, just once, if a person says Tavasmiti, I am yours, then I will take care of that person and protect him for all time to come. So, when the Lord has made such a promise, what is it that stops us from considering him as a friend and developing the same kind of affection for the Lord as we have for our worldly friends? At least we can start at that level. And if the Lord considers somebody as his friend, then there is no saying to what extent the Lord will go to help that person. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, the 16th chapter, 16th shloka, it is explained that how many ways did the Lord Krishna serve the Pandavas? He was, and why did he serve all this? Why did he do all this? Out of his causeless mercy, what is called as the Nirhetuka Kripa. There is no reason, we have done nothing to deserve the Lord's mercy, and yet he is so merciful. He has so much karuna. He has so much kripa on us without any cause. He is merciful on us. We have done nothing to deserve his kripa, and yet he gives us that kripa. So, what all did Krishna do? Who is this Krishna? He is the master of the universe. He is the one who is obeyed by everybody in the universe. We have seen in some previous satsang where, it is told, no, that in the Bhagavatam only, Lord has told in the Kapila Muni avatar that Madhvayat Tapati Surya, that the sun shines because of fear of me, the wind blows because of fear of me, Indra brings rain, Varuna is acting, everybody is acting, doing their work out of fear of me. So the Lord is the master of the entire universe. Then such a Lord, such a Krishna, who is the universe obeys, whom everybody in the universe obeys, what did this Krishna do? He came as a servant. For whom? For all the sons of Pandu. And what all did he do for them? He became the Sarathi. He became a chariot driver. Hmm? He became a messenger. He became a Duta. And all these are considered very lowly positions, isn't it? If you ask your friend to drive the car and he is driving and you sit behind, what will the friend feel? Isn't it commonly people say, no, that when somebody is driving, if that person is your friend, then you go sit in the front with them. So we in worldly life, we look at all these positions. But what did Krishna do? He is the master of the universe. And he came and he became a Sarathi for Arjuna. Now, what is so special about this thing, you may wonder? In the Yuddha, when this Sarathi is sitting, always because the Rathi, the Maharathi who is sitting and who has to engage in the fight, that person will be at a higher level. Their seat will be higher in the chariot. And the Sarathi will be sitting at a lower position. So, first, that is the thing. Second thing is that during the heat of the battle, now Arjuna is not going to be able to shout and tell Krishna won't hear because there's so much noise going on. So the way to indicate which which direction to turn the chariot, what Arjuna would do, he would place both his legs on the two shoulders of Krishna. Can you imagine? Krishna, the Lord of the universe, and on his shoulders Arjuna is placing his feet. And if he wants Krishna to move to the left, he is kicking the left foot so that Krishna understands turn to the left. If he wants to turn to the right, he is kicking the right shoulder of Krishna so that Krishna knows that he has to turn to the right. This kind of service Krishna has rendered to Arjuna. Why? For the simple reason that he thinks Arjuna is his friend. He takes Arjuna as his friend. He has been like a night watchman keeping guard outside. And when somebody is a Sarathi, then they have to do all the work. They have to clean the horses. They have to brush the horses. We have also seen how during the Rajasuya Yajna, Krishna took up the task of washing the feet of all the people who came there as guests. He took the seva of picking up the used leaves of all those people who came for the yajna. So all this, why is Krishna doing for the Pandavas? Because for him, the Pandavas are his friends. So such kind of affection the Lord will shower on somebody who is his friend. We also know the example that is given of there was a great saint in Maharashtra called Sant Eknath, and he was such a great devotee that the Lord wanted that he should only come and serve him. So this Lord Vitala takes the form of a young boy called Sri Kandya, and he comes to Eknath's house and he stays there, and for 12 years he has stayed there and he's doing all the jobs in the house. He's helping Eknath, he's bringing water from the river, he's cleaning the house, he's tending to the cattle, he's doing every single thing possible. And one fine day, one yogi comes to Eknath's house saying that I wanted to have darshan of Vitala and I went to Pandarpur, but he was not there. And he came in a dream and told me that I am in Eknath's house. So Eknath says, there is no Vital in my house. Then suddenly they realize that who is there in your house, he says. Then Eknath says, I am there, my wife is there, and this Srikandya is there, who is the servant. Oh, who is he? When did he come to you? So he says, some 12 years back, this boy came to me. And then the yogi tells him that this is indeed the Lord himself who has come and served you. So if the Lord thinks of you as a friend, then he will do everything possible for us. Then that is the kind of grace that we want to attract. And how can we practice this Sakhyam? The biggest examples of Sakya Bhakti are probably the gopas and gopis of Vrindavan. Now, the Lord, whenever Krishna performed any of his leelas, whether it was killing the asuras, whether it was, destroying the pride of Kalia, whatever may be that childhood leela of the Lord, anytime when, or if it was lifting Govardhan on his finger, whatever it may have been, The Gopal and Gopis of Vrindavan always considered him as one among them. And if any one of them ever, tried to introduce the thought that you or say that, oh Krishna, you are so great and that, he would say, you want me to play with you or not? I have come to play with you. And what was the thought in Krishna's mind? Everybody is calling me great in Vaikuntha. Everyone is singing my glories in Vaikuntha. I don't want that. I'm tired of that. I want to have a change. I want to enjoy your friendship. That is why I have come to Vrindavan. And so, like the gopis and gopas of Vrindavan, is from them we can learn how to practice Sakhyam. There is a story which is told about the demon called Aghasura. So this Aghasura came and he came in the form of a snake, a large serpent. And that large serpent was lying on the ground with its mouth. You can see this middle picture. The mouth was stretching so wide, and children could not see. They thought it's a mountain cave like thing, and all the gopas they wanted. They said, come, let us see what is this. It is so interesting. And they all wanted to walk into that, this thing. And then, but suddenly one of the boys says that, oh, what if it is something dangerous? What if something bad happens to us? The other boy pats him on the head and says, look there, see who is standing. He says, who is there? Krishna. So this boy says, when that Krishna is there, why you are worried? He will take care of us all. Come, we'll go. And they all go inside. And indeed, Krishna also enters, and then Agasura tries to close his mouth, but Krishna rips about that mouth and kills that Asura. So, like these gopas, they trusted that Krishna would take care of them. So also we must practice Sakya Bhakti, thinking that, believing and having firm faith that our friend Krishna is there and he will be there to take care of us at all times. The other story that is told is of the gopis of Vrindavan. Again, here there is an episode where Narada Muni, he is like, they say, I don't know, there may be multiple version of this story, but what I heard is that there is once a decision that is made that, okay, there will be a function to commemorate whoever is the biggest bhakta, and everybody expects that Narada will be given that award. So Krishna wants to teach Narada, that you are being too proud. So at that point of time, what happens is Krishna says, just 1 or 2 days before that event, Krishna says, I'm not feeling well. Um, I don't know if we can have the function and all that. Now Narada is quite worried that, oh, my chance to be in the limelight is going to get lost. So he says, what can we do, Krishna? How to make you, feel healthy again? So Krishna says, no, actually, this fever, what I'm having, it will go with only one remedy. And he says that if there is someone who will give the dust of their feet, Charan Raj, it is called as. If somebody will give the dust of their feet for me to apply on my forehead, then my fever will go away. Now Narada is shocked and he says, okay, who will give their dust? Who is bigger than you? He says, no, my greatest bhakta, whoever is my greatest bhakta, if they give their dust of their feet, then when I apply that, definitely my fever will go away. So what is the meaning now? If the fever doesn't go away after application of that dust, then that person is not the greatest bhakta. Now, if Narada was really worried about the Lord condition, what he should have done, he is anyway going to be crowned as the greatest bhakta, isn't it? So he should have confidently offered his Charan Raj to the Lord. But now he's scared. He doesn't want to put it to the test. So he says, okay, what to do, where we will find. And Krishna says, why don't you go to Vraj and go to Vrindavan and ask around someone there and see if you can get something. So Narada goes in search, and as he goes to the river, he sees all these gopis, and they say, "Oh Rishi, Maharshi Narad, what is the thing you have come here now?" So Narada explains the whole thing. The minute he tells this condition, no, that Krishna is not well, they are all shocked. They say, "Oh, what has to be done for Krishna? How can he get better?" And he says, "No, whoever gives their feet dust, and Krishna will apply, and if they, then only he will get better." He said, tells Narada. So immediately, all the gopis rush into the Yamuna, they wet their feet, then they come, they scratch their feet on the sands of on the bank of the river Yamuna, and each one using a coconut shell then scratches off that dust from their foot and piles it up. And finally now Narada has the Charan Raj. And when he comes back to Vaikuntha, Krishna sees that there are cart loads of mud coming in. And he says, what is this, Narada? What have you brought? Narada says, no, I went to Vrindavan and I told the gopis that, you are not well and that Charan Raj will help. So every one of them, and so many of them they gave. Now I don't have one handful of Charan Raj. I have brought seen cartloads of this. Such was the bhakti of the gopis. They did not think that Krishna is the Lord and how can we give our food dust to him. Their only concern was, if Krishna is not well, whatever has to be done to make him feel better, we will do it. So on the one hand, that bhava, that Krishna is one among us, he is one of our persons. He is not something special, that on the one hand. And second, not being worried about what will be the impact on them. Can you imagine somebody putting their foot on the Lord or their dust of their feet on the Lord? It is like apachara, isn't it? It is a wrong thing. It is a criminal offense to do that. And yet, and that could attract the biggest of punishments. And yet the gopis of Vrindavan were not bothered about that. They didn't mind going to any hell if their Krishna would get better by accepting the dust from their feet. So such was the Sakya Bhaktis of the gopis and gopas of Vrindavan. And to tell another small example, there is even now a temple, there's a matha for a special sadhu called Hathiram Bhavaji in Tirumala. It is told that there was one Babaji who came from North India. He was a great bhakta of Lord Rama. He came to Tirumala, to Tirupati, and he just fell in love with Lord Venkateshwara. And every day he would come and stand opposite the Vigraha of the Lord and want to take darshan of the Lord. So every day he would come and stand there for hours on end. So some people in the temple administration, they started feeling that, oh, what is this man's intention? Why is he coming and standing here every day? Maybe he wants to steal something from here. There are so many costly ornaments on the Lord. So with that kind of suspicion, they prohibited him. They said, you should not come to the temple henceforth. So he was very sad. But he went to his hut and he was sitting there. And he spent his time in remembering the Lord and thinking of God and saying, oh, I can't come and see you, Krishna, Venkateshwara, like that. So one fine day, suddenly Lord Venkateshwara appeared there in his hut, and he said, what is this, you have not come to see me so many days? So this Babaji says that, yeah, there was some this thing, they didn't allow me. Okay, I have only come, let us play a game of dice. So the Lord and this Babaji, they are playing a game like friends. And the Lord is so happy with this that Babaji is also very happy. So every day the Lord, after the night temple is closed, he comes here and he's sitting in the hut of Babaji, and they are playing and enjoying and having a good time like friends. One fine day, suddenly, it is time for the morning puja, and Lord Venkateshwara realizes that, oh, it has got quite late. So he rushes off, and in the hurry, he leaves his necklace in this Babaji's hut. Now, when he reaches there, and then the archakas open the temple to do worship, they realize and notice that the necklace is missing. At the same time, this Babaji in his hut, he realizes, oh, the Lord's necklace is here. So he comes rushing to the temple with that necklace. And these people say, oh, you have stolen it. And because of that, they take him to the king, and then the king gives him a punishment. They throw him into a cell, and they say that you are a criminal. Then he pleads that, no, I'm not really, I have not done anything, the Lord had come to my house. Nobody is ready to believe this Babaji. They say, you are cooking up a story. But he insists, and then the Raja thinks, okay, he's insisting so much, maybe there is some truth in this. So they decide to put him to a test. So they put him in that cell where he is. There is no window, door, nothing, and they fill it with sugar cane, and they give him the condition that you should be able to consume all this sugar cane by next morning, and then we will believe that you are true. How will a human being, one human being, consume so much sugar cane and that the whole room is filled with? It's not possible. So he starts again calling out to Venkateshwara. And at that moment, there is one white colored elephant which appears there. And in a trice, it finishes eating all that sugar cane and then it disappears. And when they open the door of the cell the next morning, there is no sugar cane there. So they realize that this Babaji is telling the truth. And that Babaji called out to Rama, to his Ishtadevata. And that is why it is believed that Rama came to help that Babaji in the form of a Hathi. Hathi means elephant. And that is why he got the name as Hathiram Babaji. And they have even constructed a temple, a mutt for him, for that Baba. And till today it is there in Tirupati. So, like this, through these examples, we can try to understand how devotees have benefited by practicing Sakya Bhakti to the Lord. What can we do to adopt these things in our life? Some few points. We have only a few minutes left. So never blame the Lord for whatever problems come in our life. Always understand that it is because of the God's grace that my problems are so less. Otherwise, they would have been much worse. We always remember our friends at times which are important to us, whether it is a good, very good time, or it is a bad time. We think of our friends and we reach out to them for help. Similarly, at any time when we need help, we must remember the Lord. Whether our worldly friends can help us or not is another matter. But the Lord is always there to listen to us, to help us, to heed to our prayers. So always remember the Lord just as we remember a good friend. When when we like somebody, when we consider someone very close to us, then we will always try to keep that person happy. And when we want to keep them happy, we will do all that makes them happy, and we will avoid doing whatever makes them unhappy. So, same way, we must only do that which makes the Lord happy and avoid whatever will pain him, which will cause him pain. And this is the concept of what is called as anukulyasya sankalpam pratikulya varjanam. So, what is dear to the Lord, whatever he likes, make a sankalpa that you will do that. You will do that. And whatever he does not like, that you are going to completely keep away from. That is prohibited for you. So, with this spirit, when we do things that are told, now how do we know whether the Lord is happy or not happy? What makes the Lord happy? What makes him unhappy? That is the reason why we have the Shastras, that is the reason why we have the Puranas, the Ityasas, the Vedas, the Upanishads, everything is there to guide us. So, whatever is told in the Shastras, we have to follow that. And that, by doing whatever will make the Lord happy, by following the Lord's guidelines which are given us through the Vedas and Upanishads, we will make him happy. And to do that, we may sometimes need to sacrifice our personal comfort. But if we really think of the Lord as our friend, we will be willing, and we must be willing to put bhakti to him before our own personal comfort. So these are some of the points that we had for today. We have again run out of time. So we will offer Kritagnyata. Let us offer gratitude at the lotus feet of Mata Mahalakshmi, Sri Krishna and Guru for inspiring us to start and join this satsang. And let us pray for their blessings and grace to always be on us. Tomorrow again we will join in the same way at 8 o'clock. Tomorrow and day after, just 2 days more of our Navavidha Bhakti.
Vijayadashimi also it is there.
Yeah, it is there on Vijay Dashmi also, Papa. Please join in, everybody. Namaste.
The same time?
Same time.
Okay.